Hi, this is Susan Evans, and this is my medieval unit study that I'm going to be doing with my children. Medieval times is my very favorite time period, and so I'm very excited about this year. Yes, this unit is going to last a full year. So if you will look down here, you will see that the main backbone of my year is going to be The Story of the World, Volume 2 by Susan Weiss Bauer. This is a classical curriculum, and it is a full year of the Middle Ages. So there is so much literature in this time period that I'm going to have to probably assign some of the reading to be done silently by my two older children, because it's probably impossible to get through all of the medieval wonderful literature that is available. We are going to be doing Beowulf. Beowulf is a wonderful story. It does have gore in it, but boys especially eat it up. There is a swamp creature who is comes to a great hall and terrorizes the hall, and then eventually how a knight in shining armor conquers that that creature. This is a book by G.A. Henty called Wolfe the Saxon. I have not read it yet, but all of G.A. Henty's books are very, very good. They're historical fiction. And this one is read by Jim Weiss, who is a fantastic storyteller, does great voices, and is just really well done. So I'm planning to use that as well. We are planning to do the study of castles. If you're doing the study of castles, you want to start with David Macaulay's Castle book, and it shows how to build a castle little by little. And it has a video that goes with it, and you can find this video at most libraries, and so that's really neat and really good too. A lot of it is animated for the kids to be able to understand how castles are made. We also have a cross-section of castles. These are fun books that have that show what is happening in each of the rooms of a castle. If you have younger kids, you can use this Castles book, which is a first discovery book. These are very, very wonderful. They have clear overlays, which I really like. You can see inside a tower, for example, and what's happening inside the tower. The Castle in the Attic is a modern-day fiction book, but this boy goes on an adventure in a miniature castle that's up in his attic, and so he has a medieval adventure for that. You can find other castle books at your library, and so that can be really fun. I've been to a lot of castles, and ideally you would like to take your kids to a castle if you have any castles nearby where you live, or if you're able to go to England. England has a lot of really great castles. And but for those of you who can't do that, you might want to make a cardboard castle. Now this is from Family Fun magazine, and it's made out of trash, and you spray paint it with silver paint. And so you use like canisters, like Pringles canisters and things like that, and boxes and egg cartons and things like that. And I show you on my website, susanevans.org, under History. It's under Cardboard Castles. You can see what my castle looked like. And we used these figures here. We had a moat around the castle, and we have knights in shining armor that are able to do sword fighting and go save a damsel in distress who is trapped in the castle. We also did another castle that was bigger that the kids could get into, and that is also on that same article, Cardboard Castles, under History. That was super fun. And this year, when we make our big castle, I have gotten, I got things like this, junk that looks medieval from yard sales or Goodwill. And what I'm planning to do with this is I'm planning to drill it straight into the cardboard box, and then put a washer on the other side of it to hang it up. So you can use real stuff and integrate it into a box, and we'll spray paint it before you put all the decorations in there. And so I give you instructions on a very, very simple large castle that you can make for about $1 at your house, and it's so much fun. We had arrow loops that we shot foam arrows out of, and we just had a ball. So that's another thing that you can do. let's see, we have Sinbad's 7 Voyages, we have Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. That is during that time period. We have Robin Hood. Robin Hood is another one of those great works of literature. Now, Peter Pan, it does not take place during that time period. However, because Robin Hood is very similar to Peter Pan, I throw it in. You need to know that if you read Peter Pan to your kids, it does have a substitute word for donkey in there. So make sure that you know that that's in there. Also, Knights in Shining Armor. You can study Knights in Shining Armor. I don't particularly recommend this one, but it's very easy to read. And this one is about swords. We just love swords in our family. We have 3 boys, and they just love doing sword fighting and things like that. If you can make swords out of wood, even cardboard, you can make swords. And those can be really, really super fun. Now, King Arthur, if you do Sir Thomas Malory's King Arthur, that one is not appropriate for young children because you have the relationship between Guinevere and Lancelot. So, heads up about that. It is a classic, though. Sword in the Stone. This is a fun video. This is rated G, and this is for all children. This is completely fine. However, if you read The Real Sword in the Stone, then heads up about the fact that there is a lot of cussing in that book, and it's just occasional. And I was reading it to my children 5 years ago when I first did medieval times, and one of the chapters is a falconry with the birds of prey talking to each other like army people, and so every other word seemed to be a cuss word, and so I was bleeping it out, and I said bleep every other word, and my son, who was 5, said, "Mommy, why are you saying bleep so much?" And I said, "Because it's bad words." And he said, "Can I see?" And I'm like, "No." I mean, so anyway, heads up about that. Don't give it to them just as silent reading. You can read it to them and monitor that, but that is a classic. And it's the childhood of King Arthur, and so it's kind of fun in that way. At least there's no moral issues there. I read this story of King Arthur to my kids. It's very simple. It's very easy. And so it doesn't include a lot of the smut that's in the other ones. Merlin and the Making of the King is a beautifully illustrated book as well for probably 2nd and 3rd grade. I haven't read this particular one, but here is an encyclopedia of Arthurian legends, and so you can look up different people like Morgan Le Fay or whatever, and then you can find out about who they are so you understand what they're talking about. So if you decide not to do King Arthur, you do need to look up some synopsis or something, because King Arthur is very famous, and so your children ought to know who King Arthur is. Now this is a wax seal, and so you drip the wax onto a sealed letter, and so this is really fun. And then you have the signet that goes on top of it that you press into it, and it's really fun. And so we're planning to use that. We're also planning to make a trebuchet. This trebuchet is a kit. It's a wooden kit, and so we're going to put it together. There's a lot of different ways you can make catapults and trebuchets. We've made a lot of catapults. You don't need any money to make catapults or trebuchets. You can use stuff around the house. You can Google it and find very easy to make trebuchets and catapults, because those are super, super fun, especially for boys to do. Okay, another thing that you can do is Chaucer. That is also full of smut, and so you need to be careful of that. When I taught Canterbury Tales to the middle school in London, where I was an English teacher, I I pulled out excerpts from the book. It is basically a group of people, different characters that are on a pilgrimage to go to Canterbury Cathedral. And so you could tie it into the study of cathedrals. But heads up about all the smut in there. Here is a coloring book that I have from there as well. And so if you tie in something like that, that could be fun for especially younger kids to color. But I would not teach Canterbury Tales if all you have is young children, but if you have somebody in middle school or high school, I would cover at least some of it. So, and I happen to have some songs about Chaucer as well. I got that in England. I don't know where you would get it, maybe online. So you can also do stained glass windows if you study cathedrals. David Macaulay also does a book on cathedrals showing how to build a cathedral, and it also comes with a video that you can usually get at your library. And we did stained glass windows. We have a kit that we used at a craft supply store, and what it is liquid that you use with an eyedropper that you put into the different sections. And even my 5-year-old was able to make a stained glass window with a little bit of help. My kids right now are ages 11, 9, 8, and 6, and so they were able to do stained glass windows very easily. Okay, now you also have Grimm's fairy tales during this time period, and Grimm's fairy tales are like Little Red Riding Hood, The Three Little Pigs, all those things. If you have not taught that to your early elementary or early childhood, you should teach them that. Mother Goose, ages 0 to 4 especially, but also early elementary, they need to know their Mother Goose, because Mother Goose is quoted by Shakespeare, is quoted by Benjamin Franklin, a lot of people like that. So it's important to understand your Mother Goose in order to understand other literature. Also, the Three Musketeers takes place a little bit later. However, I like to do it during this time period. I have not read the book, but I plan to read the book to my kids this year. And I have Pete's Dragon, which is complete fiction, and it's modern day. But it does have a cartoon dragon in it, and so it's fun to do just for dragons. And talking about dragons, this book over here, The Book of Dragons by E. Nesbitt, I highly recommend it. It's stories about dragons, and it's about on a 5th grade level, and it's really fun. It's a classic. My Father's Dragon is also a fun one. That's a modern day one, and it's probably, I would say, 2nd to early 3rd grade level. And you can, do coloring of dragons. The Ladybird Book of Dragons is also a fun book about dragons. So if you're studying dragons, you could do that. Also, if you know the Institute for Creation Science in California, they actually have a study of dinosaurs, and there's a Parasaurolophus that has a section in his head that it has 2 chambers where it's possible that there could have been combustion and there could have been fire breathing dinosaurs, which actually are dragons. So fire-breathing dragons, there's a possibility that could be true. I love that idea because I've always loved medieval times, and so it's just an interesting idea. Now, finally, at the very end of my medieval times unit study is medieval holidays and festivals. I'm going to have a feast, and so this is the book I use for my recipes to make for that. And if you have younger kids, A Medieval Feast by Alicki is very good. It has all the different things that you do to get ready for a feast and the entertainment and everything like that. I have pictures of castles and things for the kids to make invitations for the medieval feast. And on my website, susanevans.org, under history, I have medieval feast. And so you could see our previous medieval feast we did 5 years ago, the entertainment that we did, the sword play, the bard and the harps, and just everything that we did in that medieval feast. You could take a look at that. So this is Susan Evans, and this is my medieval unit study.